service demo presentation. This part 2, we are going to create a study subject from web service. Let me explain the steps we are going to take. First, we're going to grab the SOAP request header. This, we are going to make a template so it can be reused for other requests. Then we're going to grab the SOAP request body from the website. I am then going to explain each tags, and we are going to edit for our needs. Then we're going to open this create study subject WSDL and copy the URL to be used for SOAP UI. Then create a new SOAP UI project, configure the project with WSDL URL, then configure the create request with WSDL URL. Paste the SOAP request XML that we created at the top of this page into the SOAP request editor. Then run the request. Then we will see if the subject is created properly. Let's begin. The first thing we need to do is to create the SOAP request XML header as a template so we can reuse for other requests. Go to Use OpenClinica Web Service documentation page, scroll down. Here is the header. Copy it. However, it comes with always the danger of copying strings from web page, so we need to be careful not to inject any extra spaces, any extra returns. I recommend using some tools to clean up. Now, there's this extra space here. Copy, paste. Now I am going to format so it looks much nicer and easier to read. So please note that it should be only 8 lines. If you have more lines, then you might have extra character return somewhere. Now we need to edit 2 parameters here. One is username and the other one is password. For username, we are going to use user A as the authorized web service user. First, we need to enable it. Go to your OpenClinica instance page, users, user A. Now user A is here. Edit. Here is the checkbox that you need to enable it. Next, and confirm. Now user A is set. So I'm going to type user A. For the password, the user A password happened to be a string's password, but this needs to be replaced with a hash. So we need to create hash strings. Go to SHA1 generator page at Tech FAQ, type password, and generate. Here is a string. Copy it, go back, and paste. Now you are all set with the header template. Let's save this file as a header template. Next, we're going to grab the SOAP request template for creating subject. Go to the documentation page 3.4 Study Subject Web Service. Under 3.4.1 Create, you will see the SOAP XML request and the response template. Copy from the open tag of the envelope until the end of the envelope. Copy, paste, and I'm going to format this. Now it looks better. Notice here the header doesn't have any opening. So I'm going to remove this, then paste the header we just made. Notice here's the extra space, and those are dangerous. SOAP UI doesn't like them. Now you notice there was a space. Here we go. Going back to the documentation page where we copied the envelope, if you scroll down, here is a parameter list. Label, study subject ID, secondary label, that is secondary ID, enrollment date, and unique identifier, this is person ID, gender, date of birth, year of birth, and study identifier and site identifier. Let's go over the tags. Here, the label, that is study subject ID, this is required. However, the next one, secondary label, that is secondary ID, whenever see optional that only applies to line directory below, that means this one is required. The enrollment date. Next down, unique identifier, this is the person ID. It is saying optional, however, if your study is set to require person ID, you must enter value. The gender, it is saying optional, however, currently the web service does not allow the gender to be blank. So please make sure you enter a value for gender. The next line, date of birth. This suggests it is optional. However, if your version is prior to 3.1.2, you must enter the date of the birth. On the other hand, year of birth is optional. Here, it's a study reference identifier. You must give the study ID because you must specify the study where is the subject going to be created. On the other hand, site ID is not required. Here is the after. The study subject ID is test 1. Here's the enrollment date, female, date of birth, the study ID, and site ID. Before we go to SOAP UI application, just like we did on the part 1, we need to make sure the WSDL file opens on the instance, WS instance. Then you copy the URL because you will need this URL for the SOAP UI configuration. Here's the SOAP UI application. I'm using 4.5.1. New, give a name, create study subject, then paste the URL. Now, under create, open the request editor. You can just double click on that. The first thing you need to do is that here the location of WSDL file is not correct. This is just a default. So we're going to edit current. Again, paste the URL. Now you have the correct location. Go to request, paste the XML you just created onto the request pane. Before we run the request, let's see how many subjects we have here. 10 of them, very small. This is just a demo. And Now run it. Now, the response says success. WS test 1 subject is created. Let's go check it. Refresh. Ta-da!